The World Series gave us a Game 7 that people will be talking about for generations, not just because what you see there, not because the Dodgers won. Frankly, the winner was virtually irrelevant to this. The way it went down, Caroline, is something I will never forget. And I'm the farthest thing from a baseball apologist. I'm not the guy that's sitting here saying, oh boy, I can't wait to talk about the Dodgers in the middle of June. Like, that is not part of who I am. And I sat there riveted with this game, not just because of the stakes, not just because of Shohei, not just because of the star power, but because of everything that happened. When you have two outfielders running into each other and somehow still making the catch, when you have incredible plays like this, when you have a photo finish at the plate where nobody even knows if the World Series is out. We don't know if it's over. We don't know if it's going to continue. Like, we have no idea. And then you get extra innings. That is such a surreal ending. The fact that you still can go out on Twitter X and look at 100 different images of that play at the plate, and you will have Blue Jays fans that will say, nope, I don't care. His foot was off. Like, Caroline, that is just there isn't another pro sports equivalent to what we saw because of the combination of the drama and how it was won and the combination with the drama of how it wasn't won through the course of the late innings.
I have chills. Like, just thinking about it, hearing you talking about it, I have chills. We talk about how sports are games of inches, and they are, and that was on full display. Look at that. Look at that on top. It was, okay, did the catcher's foot come off of the bag, or did the runner get there in time? That we were looking at all of these different angles and slowing it down frame by frame, that it wasn't just a game of inches. It was a game of centimeters, millimeters, the teeniest, tiniest little fraction of a difference between the Dodgers winning a World Series and the Blue Jays winning a World Series. Just think about that. Championships, legacies, history was on the line, and it was decided by the teeniest and tiniest and most slightest of margins. That's all we can ask for in games like this, in moments like this. I mean, just look at that. I mean, all of the differences, the way that we could kind of peel back the curtain of ways that the Blue Jays could have easily won this game, but they didn't because things just didn't fall their way. And so that's why, Fitz, I feel like a lot of the rhetoric and the conversation coming off of Saturday night's game was, well, the Dodgers do it again. The Dodgers are ruining the sport of baseball. Really? Really? That's your number one takeaway from the World Series? Is that the Dodgers are ruining the sport of baseball? When we get the most watched Game 7 in almost a decade? When we had a Game 7 that went to 11 innings? When we had an incredibly back and forth World Series? When one of the games went to 18 innings? When it was so evenly contested? When it was decided by inches and millimeters? You want to tell me that the Dodgers are ruining the sport? When they have the best player maybe in the history of the game of baseball in Shohei Ohtani, you want to tell me that that's ruining the sport? You want to tell me that that's not drawing up interest? You want to tell me that the game of baseball is worse off today than it was a couple of years ago because of the Los Angeles Dodgers? That is lazy. That is such a lazy take. Because let's not act like the Blue Jays we're some rinky-dink team that just got completely blown out of the water in the World Series. Don't play revisionist history here. The Blue Jays also had a top 10 payroll in Major League Baseball. The Blue Jays looked at times like the better team. The Blue Jays looked like they had the deeper lineup. The Blue Jays at times looked like they had the better pitching staff. I mean, sure, fair. The Dodgers totally blew through the NL side of the bracket, but this World Series, we're going to be talking about this one. We should be talking about this one for years and years to come. So don't act like this is bad for baseball or the big bad Dodgers are doing something terrible for the sport. Because if anything, the Dodgers have been the best thing that happened to Major League Baseball in over a decade.
Yeah, to me, this is something we echo all the time. Championships are not for diehards. They just aren't. Championships, whether it's Super Bowls, whether it's the college football playoff championship, whether it's the NBA finals, whether it's the World Series. Championships are for casuals. It's the way you showcase your sport to the broadest set of the audience you possibly can all over the world. I am living, breathing proof. Look, I was riveted to watch this game. I looked forward to this game all day. Why? Because it's the Dodgers. No, I'm not particularly a Dodgers fan, but the chance to see Shohei in Game 7, not knowing what that was going to be, that meant something to me. That's something that I looked forward to all day long, because at the end of the day, we flock to stars. And while we think it's a great story when stars aren't there, at the end of the day, what people want to see are the biggest names in the sport. They want to see the biggest faces in the sport. They want to see the biggest stars in the sport. That's why, as they showed you the numbers earlier, almost 26 million people watched Game 7 of the World Series, to which I'd say, if you think that baseball is being ruined by the Dodgers, you're probably not the target audience for what's happening right now. Because at the end, when it's all said and done, what has to happen is growth for your sport. And I watch like a lot of Bar Rescue. I watch a lot of Bar Rescue. John Taffer out there always yelling, right? And the number of times John Taffer will start messing up a menu, and you'll hear somebody say, well, we don't want to lose our regulars. And John says, hey, if you had enough regulars, you wouldn't have me here right now. Restaurants never want to hear that, but that's reality. The whole process of championships is about building past just your regulars. If you're a diehard, lifelong, generational baseball fan, most of you are going to stick through because it's in your blood, just like I'm a lifelong, diehard Raiders fan. I can't just turn that off, right? Baseball is going to rely on most of you sticking around. But whatever percentage of fans they lose because they think baseball is being hurt by the payroll of the Dodgers, they're gaining times how many? When you start talking about the global impact of Shohei, according to a quick Google search, Shohei made so much money for the Dodgers in his first year with the Dodgers, he actually earned outside revenue that was equivalent to his entire contract. So when you talk about growth, that's what Shohei is providing. When you talk about growth, that's what superstars provide. The fact that people that don't even follow baseball were walking around and had suddenly an opinion about Freddie Freeman, and suddenly an opinion about Mookie Betts, and suddenly an opinion about like the stars in this, Vlad, all of the stars that came into this thing. This World Series was what it was because of the dramatic finish on it. But not as many people would have seen that dramatic finish without the stars. So if you want to tell me that the stars are killing baseball, you have to acknowledge that the single greatest finish, I think, in the history of your sport wouldn't have been seen by a lot of people like me if it weren't for the Dodgers and the star power.
And I'll add on top of that too. I mean, the star of Game 7, really the one who like won it for the Dodgers, wasn't Freddie Freeman. It wasn't Mookie Betts. It wasn't Shohei Ohtani. It wasn't Teoscar Hernandez. It wasn't one of these brightest stars on this star-studded roster. It was Miguel Rojas. And I love that. I think that makes it even better. That's another point that I would tell people that say, oh, well, it was just, the Dodgers are ruining it. Well, Miguel Rojas was such a fun story of this game, that Miguel Rojas hit a home run late in the game, and Miguel Rojas made that incredible defensive play at short when he threw it home, and that caused all of the controversy of was he safe at home? Was he not safe at home? I mean, if Miguel Rojas is just a millisecond later on that throw, the Dodgers don't win a World Series. But he made such a great play at shortstop, and you could tell after he threw that home, he had his hands on his knees and he was breathing heavy, looked like he was about to throw up, because I'm sure he was like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So I think that just adds another layer to it that I kind of love, that it wasn't, it wasn't the Freddie Freemans, it wasn't the Mookie Betts, it wasn't the Shohei Ohtanis. As wonderful as they are, it was Miguel Rojas that really kind of saved the day. Now, if the Dodgers continue to win, if they win 4 of the next 5 World Series, if they continue to just pay their roster far more than any other team in baseball can afford, then sure, we can have the conversation of, is it time to adjust how we approach payrolls in Major League Baseball? We can totally have that conversation at this point. But it's not very often that you have back-to-back championships in Major League Baseball. There is so much parity in this sport. So where we are right now, I think we can just enjoy the greatness that we are seeing, because people enjoy greatness, and I think more people need to be plugged in to the game of baseball and the greatness of it. And if the entrance to the game is Shohei Ohtani, then so be it.
Look, Shohei's the gateway drug. But look, anytime you get...
He's the marijuana of Major League Baseball.
Look, you're not wrong. Anytime you get once-in-a-lifetime sports moments, you celebrate it. And that's, again, I remember when Kirk Gibson, we all remember, if you're my age, that Kirk Gibson moment running the bases and limping his way through it. Like, there are certain baseball moments that become iconic, and no matter where you were, no matter what you're a fan of, you remember them because it resonates to where you were in that moment and what it felt like to watch that team or that player or that accomplishment, and it sticks with you. To me, what happens long term from a game like what we had Saturday night is that there's a bunch of people that fall in love with baseball for the first time. There's a bunch of people that fall in love with baseball again. And to your point, Carolina, and I think one of the most impressive things about this, I've said this several times over the last couple of days, every at-bat was its own mini movie in this one. And you felt how much it meant to everybody. There's no way to give July baseball the same meaning as what we saw. Just like there's no way to give December NBA basketball the same, meaning that the NBA finals have. But when you see how much stress is on every pitch and every swing and how much it matters to every athlete, what do we want? 99% of the time as sports fans, when we're watching these things, we want to feel like the players are living and dying with every single play. And Game 7 epitomized that. Like from the outset, what made it so impressive to me, what made it so connective to me is that you could feel the angst of every at-bat for hours. And that's something that I think it gravitates people to the sport. It makes people want to watch more of it. I'm bummed there isn't another World Series game tonight, somehow, some way, because it's still just like hits my soul what we saw on Saturday. And that I don't. There's a time and place to talk about the money of the Dodgers. Right now, I think baseball should just be taking a victory lap for what they won in the court of public opinion over the course of the last week.
And with that being said, all of that of how exciting the series was and how much I loved it, my heart absolutely breaks for Blue Jays fans. My heart breaks for that team that you were so close. So it would have been the Blue Jays' first World Series in my lifetime. And they were so close. I think there's something that is extra painful about being right there and just falling short. So I hate that for Toronto fans. I really, really do. I hate that this, dynastic run for the Dodgers comes at the expense of a team that has been so easy to root for in the Toronto Blue Jays. But that team is special. And if they maintain that team and maintain that sense of magic that they had this season, they'll be right back there next season.